This will be a quick tutorial on building a configuration in new Orbitas RMS 3 with the new UI, as well as a new mobile feature that we have called Image Uploader. So to begin, we're going to go ahead and log into the new Orbitas RMS website by going to orbitas.xyz, using our username and password to log in. And once we get logged in here, you're going to notice it's going to recognize us, or recognize me as a subscription administrator for Tri Global Technologies. There's my name. We can reset the password just like always. But you're going to notice that there's some new options over here on the side that you never had as a subscription administrator before. The biggest one is something called style sets. So even though I'm going to start by talking about configurations in this video, before we can talk about configurations, I got to show you the new style set feature. So the reason that we started to create style sets was so that we could eventually copy style sets not only for our configuration, but we could attach them to backgrounds. We also are going to start working on a new feature called projects. You could apply a style set to projects, and eventually even maybe apply style sets to exports and imports, things like that. So we wanted to separate out the concept of what we did with points, lines, and areas and how we symbolize them from our actual configuration. So that's why you see this new feature called style sets. So anytime you're going to start a configuration, you need to have a style set for your subscription. As you can see, I have a bunch of style sets in my subscription. So I could start a configuration and use a style set from any one of these in the configuration. But for the purposes of this video, I want to create one from scratch. Let's assume that you have a subscription that doesn't have a style set yet, so you need to create one. So I'm going to go ahead up here to create. I'm going to give my style set a name. I think I'm going to call this generic telecom. So we go ahead and create our generic telecom style set, and just so I can find it easy, I'm going to sort, and there it is, generic telecom. There are 0 line types, 0 point or location types, and 0 polygons inside it. So it's a pretty boring style set right now. So let's go ahead and modify it by clicking on it, and let's start adding some. So what I'm going to do is keep this very, very simple, again for the tutorial. I'm going to put 2 types of locations in here. I'm going to click add. My first one is going to be called handhole. And it is going to be an online feature. So when it says offline, I'm putting no. Obviously, I want to build my telecom utility line when I create these features. If I had a feature such as a marker post, I might want to create that as an offline feature. So I would select yes, so that when I put that marker pole on there, it doesn't automatically draw a line to it. If you need more clarification on that, we have some other videos that talk about our online, offline parenting features. And then for the icon, I can sort by icons. I can just select from a list of icons I already have. I could create a new icon, or like I said, I could sort through the icon. So if I go ahead and just type in handhole here, it already is going to sort down my list, and obviously I've called these icons handholds in the past. Let's use one that's real simple. Let's use this little purple square. Hit create. Boom, I've created a new handhole style set. Let's go ahead and add one more, and I think I want to call this something generic like point POI. It's just going to be point of interest. So choose an option. Is it offline? No again. And let's get an icon for it. And let's just grab one from the list this time. Maybe for my POI, I like the looks of this little asterisk symbol here. So boom. Now I have a POI point and a handhold point. Pretty simple so far. Let's go ahead and create our line as well. I'm going to add a line. It's going to be called my telecom line. We'll just call it telecom. It's going to be orange for telecom. Is it dashed? No. And is it a quick feature? No, this is going to be a standard location-based line. We can also create quick feature lines, as you can see. If you're not familiar with what a quick feature is, always select no. You can contact TriGlobal and we could explain more about our quick features, or we actually have some other support documents that explain what our different feature types are. We want to select an icon for that so I can recognize it up in my menu. I'm just going to choose this little orange telephone here, hit create, and now I have a telecom line, 2 points. My style set is done, so pretty basic so far. Next, we're going to go over to configurations, and I'm going to create one, and I can apply a style set to it. So I'm going to apply my generic telecom style set I just created to this configuration. Let's give it a title for the configuration. This will be called generic telecom. Not very creative, but it makes sense. And then I like to always put a date next to my 10/05/22 next to my configuration, so I know exactly when it was created. So I could go back and say, oh, that was the telecom configuration I created 5 years ago. Obviously, there's some new features since then, so I could update it. Let's hit create, and let's go in and edit it. And if you noticed, under our style set, it automatically applied generic telecom, so it knows I have one line and 2 location types already. Okay, so that part's all set. If all I cared about is just simply collecting some points and lines, I could publish this configuration right now without modifying anything else about it. However, I want to collect some features about this handhole when I collect one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click add, and I'm going to add a new location unit. And the one I'm going to add, I can choose from POI or handhole. I'm just going to add information when I collect a handhole. And then it's going to say auto close. This is kind of a more advanced concept. By default, you always want to select none. What that means is that when it's done asking you the questions about the handhole, it's automatically going to close and go back to your map screen. There are some types of configurations, some advanced things we can do where you might want that form to stay open and do some other things, and that's why we have the other features in there. But like I said, by default, most people would want none. So the next thing is it's going to ask us what we want to do for, do we want this unit to be the default? Let's go ahead and hit no on that. I'm going to, oops, sorry. Didn't mean to click that. Okay, none, no, and let's hit create. So I've created a new location unit called handhole. But I haven't actually added any questions into it yet. So we're going to go ahead and click on handhole, and we're going to create a tab. You can have multiple tabs of questions. I always call the main tab if I'm only having one main, or maybe even default, something like that. And we can choose an icon, and if you type in the keyword tab, we already have some tab icons. And that's just a generic icon we can use for the tab. So this is what it would look like inside Orbitas Field. It's going to have a little icon called main for this tab. Let's add a field for it. And just to show you, let's do something simple to start. Let's put a handhole note. So we're going to, we'll actually call it comment instead of note. Is it required? No. This will be the first thing that they see. And the control is just going to be a text field. So we hit create, we have a comment field. That easy to create a field. But now let's get a little more advanced. Let's go in and we want to have one that's called color. Doesn't really make sense on the handhole, but you'll get why. This one's going to be required. It's going to be the second thing on the list that's going to be prompted. And my control is going to be a combo box. So for a combo box, it says, well, you have to have some values. So the first color we're going to have is going to be red. Then it's going to be blue. Then it's going to be green. And we want red to be the default. Actually, let's not set a default. Let's not make it a default so that I have to select one of them. Okay, so hit create. Now I have a required field called color. And then the final thing is the other purpose of this video. We're going to come in here and we're going to call this drawing photo. Now, there is one caveat. If you want our KML export to automatically recognize your feature as a photo, you have to use photo in the name. That's just how we set up the export for the KML. If it doesn't see photo, it doesn't know it's a photo, so it's not going to export it as a photo. It's still going to collect it, but it's just not going to export it automatically to the KML file. So in this case, I want to put photo. It's going to be required. It's going to be the third thing on our tab. And we're going to use the thing called image picker. Hit create, and now we have 3 fields on our main tab on our handhole location form. And let's go back to our configuration details. There it is, location for handhole. If I expand it, comment, color, and drawing photo, it's all set. That's all I want to do right now. So what I'm going to do is come back here to the main screen. And again, there it is, generic telecom. And you notice it says unpublished. Because I'm done and I want to send this to users, I'm going to actually publish this. Hit confirm. Boom, now generic telecom is published. Let's actually just take it, and let's dispatch it out to me. Okay, so here's all the people I can dispatch to. I want to send it to this file right here. I'm going to revoke the configuration that I had called TGT multi-config from myself. And I'm going to assign, does take a second to refresh here. I'm going to assign this one to myself. Dispatch configuration. Now, if I was to click on that configuration again, there's another cool thing that it shows in here. It shows who that configuration is dispatched to. So you can see that I dispatched this configuration, generic telecom, to tryglobal2017@gmail.com. So the next thing we want to do is go out to the field and collect our job. So I'm going to go ahead and open Orbitas. And it opens into our main screen. And I'm going to come over here to the Orbitas settings and check to see if I have a new configuration. And of course it's going to say there is a new configuration available. Download newest configuration. So I'll go ahead and download it. And now my configuration that we just created is applied. So I'm going to go ahead and change my line type, and we'll collect that telecom line that we set up. And I'll go ahead and actually utilize the tapped place. I'm not going to explain a lot about the collection because that's obviously been covered in other videos, but I'm just going to quickly collect a line. But what I'm going to do is, instead of collecting a handhole first, I'm going to start it with a POI, and we'll collect our POI. And then I'm going to come up here, collect maybe a second POI on the radius along the road, and a third. And then I'm going to come over here and collect a 4th point that I'm going to call the handhole. But before I do that, I'm going to assume we walked over there and we have a handhole over at this location. And we want to do a drawing of the handhole to show what the splice looks like inside. So to do this, I'm going to use a little free app that I downloaded that I think works pretty good called Draw on Photos rather. You could use just the standard markup tools that are inside the iOS photos for this. There's about 30 different free tools that I found to mark up photos. This was a real simple one that I found that I thought looked pretty good, so we're going to use that one just for this example. So what I'm going to come in here is create a new project, and of course it's the free version, so an ad's going to pop up, so I want to close that down. And I'm going to start with a photo that I'm going to mark up. So I want to be able to select photos, and let's go ahead and add a photo. Oops. And there's our blank drawing that I'm going to actually mark up as the photo. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put some text in first, and it'll just be black text, and it's going to be called, this is handhole 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll kind of put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll change the size of that a little bit. move it down a little smaller. I'm going to move it down here to handhole 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess it needs to be a little bit smaller still. Probably about that size. Put it down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now I got a handhole, and then what I'm going to do is just draw some quick lines on there. Let's make a red one first. This is probably not going to be a great example of an actual line splice schematic. Obviously, you're going to be able to tell real fast. I don't know what I would be seeing inside there. So I'm just going to connect up a red, green, and blue splice. Let's get blue. And so I've got like this. So I've got a red line, a green coming straight across, and then a blue over here. And maybe we want to even add a little bit more text on there. So the blue was called blue, whatever that wire name was. We'll kind of add that over here. Blue. And then come in again, add some text. Red. Make that a little smaller. We'll label that. And then we're going to label our green wire coming in here. Green, whatever it is. Make it so you can read it. There we go. All right, so we've got now our marked up drawing. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Save successfully. So I can go ahead and close down that app. Or even probably just minimize it. Don't have to close it. I'm going to come back to Orbitas. Then we're going to come over here to that point where we're going to place our handhole. We'll actually change the POI to say handhole. We'll hit save. And instead of just closing the form and allowing us to collect another, as you would expect, it pops up our handhole form. So I've got to put a comment. We'll type in our comment. Remember the color, I made it a drop-down value, but I didn't put a default, so we have to select. This will be a green handhole. And then we have the new image upload feature. So it's called Drawing Photo. It's red right now to let me know I don't have a preview because I haven't added one. So I can click the little drop-down, and it's going to allow me to explore my computer. There's the image of the drawing that we wanted to attach. I click Add. It attaches that, and then we're just going to go out here to the main screen. That image has already uploaded because my photo icon is green. So as long as you have a decent internet connection, those little images, they're going to upload pretty fast. If it's a little slower, we may have to leave it open a little longer for the thing to upload. And I'm going to click on my upload job icon. Job is uploaded. It turns green. I'm done with my job. Let's go over here back to Orbitas, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to look at my specific jobs. Let's sort by upload date. Obviously I had forgot to rename the job, so I just uploaded the Welcome to Orbitas job. Not really important. I can click on it. I can see my points. I can click on any individual points. I can tell I used tap to place it. Most importantly, if I look at this last one, I can tell that this was a handhole feature. It was green in color. There's my comment, and there's the view attachment. I can click on it, and now that drawing is now attached to that point. I have the exact date and time that it was attached, and actually the lat, lon, and direction we were facing when it was attached. Probably the direction doesn't make a lot of sense for the drawing because there's a north arrow on it, but it's just a default watermark that happens with our photos. So that's how you can not only use the image uploader to attach an image you've already collected, but you could actually use it to create a drawing.